Good. So what you're looking at here is a look at homes versus apartments, and this one always comes up also with respect to what I should do or look for. And I think there's several advantages with both and disadvantages. And uh, I firmly believe that the rental arbitrage model with homes, it's better because the property management aspect, right, and having control and having the ability to have an executable and profitable exit plan, in my opinion, is ground zero. And the example I always give is during COVID, right? Uh, Everybody took a hit to some degree. Everybody did. And with several of our properties, we were able to immediately transition those into long-term rentals above market rate, which which means we were able to execute a profitable exit plan. And in this case, because the long-term agreements, those will only be in place for 12 months because we just simply said, hey, coronavirus too shall pass, right? So next year, at this time, 6-month mark, we'll tell tenants, hey, we're not going to renew, and we'll take the place back on and put it back into short-term rentals, yeah. Right? And leverage is the second part, right? So leveraging properties to operate within the confines of the sharing economy. And you'll see here I've got Peerspace, Turo, and a couple other sharing economy platforms. But the simple and bottom line to that is with a home having more space and more capacity and more control, I can bring in additional sharing economy services and really increase my profits from a property, and essentially take what's a single source Airbnb property and turn it into a multi-purpose sharing economy hub, right? That's operating within the sharing economy. And then you sort of get outside of the discussion about my occupancy rates and whatnot that people are always so concerned about, right? So it helps, just in theory, if I've got a property that's bringing in 4 streams of income versus a property that's bringing in 1 stream of income, naturally I'm going to be more concerned about my occupancy rates with just an Airbnb, simply because that's the income driver. But if the property is being used in other capacity and bringing in other services, and you've got that additional income, it can make up for low occupancy rates with just an Airbnb. And then with the homes, obviously able to leverage them as investments. And one example I'll give is I've got a homeowner that we strategically did this, turn the property into a profitable short-term rental with the intent of selling it on the back end of a year or 2 years worth of data to support selling it for a higher price, and it worked, right? The homeowner in this case, after taking this on for a year or so, we were able to show profitability within the business, and he essentially sold the home and the business, right, to an investor for about 50 grand more than what it would have gotten just as a home on the market. So therein lies the flexibility of having a home and all the different aspects that you could leverage with homes. The apartments are good in the sense that in most cases they're centrally located in better areas, right? You won't get a home in downtown Atlanta in the city center, right? It just doesn't work that way. So So apartments do provide you that bit of value, and also the ability to, as I mentioned earlier, create room blocks, right? So taking out 2 to 3 leases inside one apartment complex could provide value in the fact that you could create a listing, aggregate all 3 of those places, and then you're now providing very unique accommodations within one building that doesn't exist, right? Similar to what we're doing in Houston right now, where we've got, let's see, three places in one building, and they're aggregated together in multiple ways, whether it's one individual properties, it's blocks of 2 properties, and all 3 properties to offer, very unique accommodations that otherwise didn't exist. So the inherent problem with apartments is the lack of control, right? You don't have an ownership stake or a management stake in anything with apartments, anything. So the most of people that tanked and lost out during COVID were, quite frankly, in apartments, right? Because they couldn't do anything with the inventory. They couldn't manage it. They couldn't sublet it. They couldn't draw additional income from additional services with those properties. So they were stuck. They were stuck, and they were forced to break leases and pay whatever penalties came along with that. And that lack of a profitable exit plan. At the end of the day, there's some value in apartments just due to the location and whatnot. But you've got some cons that you really should be mindful of when looking at apartments. And the other side of that too then becomes a lot of apartments don't allow subletting, period. Yep. So unless you are you're dealing with an investor that owns the building, or in some cases there are Airbnb friendly locations like the Nido in Nashville and Orlando. They run a 6-month program where you can rent out your place for up to 180 days, but you have to live there, and they own the Airbnb listing, so you can't really finagle it. And then there are a couple other apartments scattered throughout the states that do have Airbnb programs, but they tax you 15% of each booking to be a part of those programs.
Wow. Yeah, no, honestly, I'm not even like, apartments doesn't even really cross my head because of all the problems. And like you said, pretty much what you've mentioned. And then the fact that a lot of apartments just don't accept it, period. Because, they're communities and whatnot. So I stay away. I haven't even really thought about this.
Yep, and the last 2 points I talked about, really the last 3 points. You can't really open apartments up into the sharing economy, right? I can't, in most cases, bring a chef in and a personal masseuse and have Peerspace type events. Doable, but not ideal in this case. So you just have a lack of your ability to expand into the sharing economy. And again, you're subject to more market saturation just due to the location, right? Everybody wants to be in the city center because the myth is, again, that location matters more than value offered, right? Back to the point I made earlier. And that's what sort of draws people to certain cities, and they want to be downtown and nowhere else. But that couldn't be further from the truth. And the last thing is, with apartments, you just don't get the head to bed ratio that you could get in a home. And in most cases, and I'll show you how this is really tiered at each bedroom level, but when you start to get above 8 people into a space, you really start to move into a unique category, right? And then you're able to start to separate, your home from others in the market, especially once you hit that 8 to 10 range. And it's just not doable. And in apartment complexes.
Yeah, that is true.